Be strong.
So hello everyone, Miss Cleo's here. Are you ready to get started? Let's get started. So hello everyone, Miss Cleo's here. So our lesson this week is Bread from Heaven from Exodus chapter 16. So I'm going to send you over to Miss Latoya for our memory verse prayer, and I'll see you right back here in just a minute.
All right, it's time for our memory verse. Hey, welcome back. This week we're in the book of John, chapter 6, verse 33. And it reads, "For the bread of God is he who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world." That's the book of John, chapter 6, verse 33. All right, it's time to pray to start our lesson. Bow your heads and close your eyes. Dear Lord, thank you for another Sunday to hear your word. Thank you for Miss Cleo for sharing the word. Thank you for our children for listening to the word. Amen. Back to Miss Cleo for our lesson for today.
So welcome back everyone. So as I said, our lesson this week is Food from Heaven. Now last week our story was Crossing the Red Sea. Does anybody remember what we learned last week? First, let me ask, who was it that didn't want to let the Israelites go? Pharaoh. Pharaoh did not want to let the Israelites go. And what was it that God did through Moses to show Pharaoh that he was truly God? He sent 10 plagues on him. And does anybody remember what the last plague was? The last plague was the Passover. The Passover was when the death angel went over all of the Egyptians' homes and their firstborn, be it their child or even their beast, died. None of the Israelite firstborns died because God told them to put the blood of the lamb on their doorposts. After this happened, what did Pharaoh end up doing? He let them go. He did. But after he let them go, he did something else. He changed his mind. He was angry and he went chasing after the Israelites. So then the Israelites came upon the Red Sea. And what happened there? God parted the Red Sea for them, and they walked through the sea on dry land. What happened with Pharaoh's army? Pharaoh's army chased after the Israelites, and they too went through, but God closed the water on them, and they all drowned. They all drowned. So our story today is Food from Heaven. And I'm going to be reading this from Egypt to the Promised Land. And it's by Carolyn Lawson. After God miraculously led the Israelites through the Red Sea and saved them from the Egyptians, they traveled in the wilderness day after day, week after week. They walked and walked. Before long, the food they had brought along from Egypt was gone. The people were tired and hungry, and even though God had done amazing miracles to free them from slavery and save them from the Egyptian army, they started complaining and whining. "Moses, why did you even take us out of Egypt? At least we had food there. We're going to starve to death out here in the wilderness." God heard the people's complaints, and he said to Moses, "I'm going to send food down from heaven for the people. They can go out each day and pick up all the food they need for that day. However, I'm going to give them a test to see if they will follow my rules. So what did God just say? God said he's going to send food down from heaven for the Israelites. Now, what food comes down for that day? Pick up enough food for you and your family for that day, but don't pick any more. He has made specific instructions because he is saying, I'm going to provide for you. And they have to believe him. Look, God has just done some amazing things, guys, right? We have seen he has opened up the Red Sea for them. He sent the plagues on Pharaoh. But we, like the Israelites, sometimes too, God do amazing things and we forget that he's still God. So he's saying, I'm going to bring food down from heaven for you for 6 days. Now, on the 7th day, he wants you to rest. Because remember when God made the heavens and the earth, how many days did he make the heavens and the earth in? 6 days. And on the 7th day, he rests. So he's saying, for 6 days, food will come down. On that 6th day, I want you to gather up a double portion, because on the 7th day, no food will come down on the 7th day. Gather up on that 6th day, that double portion, because on the 7th day, I want you to rest. Tell them to pick up only what they need for their families each day, except on the 6th day, when they should pick up twice what they need. No food will come down on the 7th day. Moses called all the people together and said, every night you will have proof that it was God himself who led you out of Egypt. Every morning you will see proof of his presence with you. He has heard your complaining, which is against him, not against Aaron or me. God promised to give you meat to eat every evening and bread every morning. This is his promise to you. Now, the bread that God gave to the Israelites, the name of it is manna. And what manna means is, what is this? No one had ever seen it before. So the word manna means, what is this? And the manna was like a flake that was like a wafer, and it tastes like honey. In Miss Cleo's mind, I think of like graham crackers. That's what I think of. You might think of something different. But that's what the manna was. God sent that down in the morning. At night, he gave them a meat, which was named quail. And quail is a type of bird, and it's like duck. It's not like chicken, it's duck. So he gave them meat at night, and he gave them this manna in the morning. That very evening, hundreds and hundreds of quail flew into the camp and landed on the ground. The people could capture them without even trying very hard. The next morning, when the people got up, the ground was wet with dew. As the dew dried up, thin white flakes were left on the ground. The Israelites were confused. What is this? They asked. Moses answered, it is the bread God promised you. Here is his instructions. Pick up only what you need for your family for this day. It would be about 2 quarts for each person. By obeying God's instruction, each person had just enough to eat. But Moses warned the people, do not try to pick up extra to keep overnight. God just gave instructions. Do you think some people tried to pick up extra? They didn't trust him. Listen, God said, I will provide for you. He said on the 6th day, I will make it so that double will come down and you will be able to have just enough for that day and the following day. So their Sabbath day was Saturday. Our Sabbath day is Sunday. That's when we go to church. So on Friday, double that amount will come down. So you'll have enough on Friday and Saturday, but you won't have to pick it up on Saturday because you already have it. Well, let's see what happens with some people. Of course, some people tried to do that, but by the next morning, it was rotten, full of bugs, and very, very stinky. Every day, the people picked up what they needed, and any flakes left on the ground melted away in the sun. On the 6th day, there was extra manna. That's what the flakes were called. So the people picked up enough to last them for 2 days. That's what God told them to do because the 7th day was the day of rest. The manna was sweet and tastes like honey cakes. Between the quail and the manna, the people had plenty of food to eat. God sent manna 6 days a week for 40 years until the people were settled in the land of Canaan where they could grow their own crops. Wow. For 40 years, God provided this for them. The manna and the quail. You know, one thing though it also showed us was that let us not be murmurers and complainers. We sometimes do that, and the word murmur, it means to complain. You have nothing nice to say quietly. That's murmuring. And that's what the children of Israel did. They murmured. And when they were murmuring, it wasn't Aaron or Moses. It was God that they were actually murmuring about. He had did all of this, and yet they still had unbelief. They didn't believe him. So let us, even us, not murmur and complain about stuff when we know that God truly does have our back. Water from a rock. A little while after God began sending manna and quails to the people, he told them to break camp and start walking again. They still needed to get to the land God had promised to give them. The people traveled as far as a place called Rephidim, but there was no water there. Right away, the people started complaining to Moses, "Give us water to drink. Why did you take us out of Egypt?" Here we go again. Now they have no water. And now God has just provided quail and manna. And they're complaining that we're going to die from thirst. And we could have stayed in Egypt where it was so much better. They were just enslaved for 400 years. And now God has brought them out and they're really ready to go back. We have plenty of water there. We're all going to die out here with no water to drink. Moses tried to remind them of all the miracles God had already done to take care of them. But they just wanted to complain. "Quiet," Moses cried. "Why are you arguing with me? Why are you complaining against God?" That's like your parents buy you something and you don't like the color of it. Now, they really didn't have to buy it for you. But they bought you something and you said, "I don't like that color." But they didn't have to buy it. But we do that. We do that. Mm. The people kept complaining, so Moses turned to God and asked, "What do I have to do with these people? They are going to come after me with stones." God said, "Take your shepherd's staff, the same one that you used when you struck the waters of the Nile River, and I turned them to blood. Call the leaders of the people to come with you and to walk ahead of the people. I will meet you by a large rock near Mount Sinai. Hit the rock with your staff, and I will make water pour out of it. The people will be able to drink as much water as they want. Then they will stop complaining." Moses did what God told him to do, and the people had all the water they wanted. Moses named the place Massa, which means the place of testing, and Meribah, which means the place of arguing, because the people argued with Moses about asking whether or not God was going to take care of them. Just complaining after complaining after complaining. And yet you see the miracles that God performed. Let us take a reference from this to be, we ourselves should not complain. When we see what God has done for us, and He has done many things for us, we should not be complaining at all. Let us be grateful and thankful. And God does not mean us any harm. We need to trust and believe in Him. Trust and believe in Him fully. He has never let us down. So that's our lesson this week. I hope you enjoyed it. See you again next week. Be strong.